Noxus Reroll is the most underrated and one of the most powerful comps right now, and in this video I'll teach you how to master this comp by going over the build, what items to make, and which augments, legends, and portals to take, how to play the early, mid, and late game, and then I'll go over some in-depth positioning examples. The build is pretty linear, as we always want to have 6 Noxus active. The rest of the units we add in are to buff up Darius and Katarina, whom are our carries in this comp. The standard level 8 comp is this, where we add in Azir and Nasus. This is to give Juggernaut to Darius, and to give Strategist for more survivability and damage. The reason why we don't add in a Rogue is because it's very inconsistent at the moment, and we also don't have a great Rogue to add in. We will be slow rolling at level 7 to hit 3-star Darius and Katarina, and we do it with this comp. Again, it can change a little depending on our augments, but we'll get into that later in the video. Darius and Katarina are our main carries, so we want to make 3 good items for both of them, but I've found the most success focusing on Darius items first, so that's what we prioritize in this comp. He has one core item, and that's a healing item. BT is by far the best one, as it gives us a giant shield, but Hodge or Gunblade can also work as replacements. Healing is core on Darius, as he is a melee carry who takes up a lot of splash damage, so we need to heal him to keep him alive for a lot longer. The second item wants to be a Titan's Resolve. This item is fantastic as we get to 25 stacks fast, and it gives Darius a ton of both defensive and offensive stats. This helps him stay alive a lot longer and also increases his damage output. The third item wants to be a damage item. You will pick one of IE, Giant Slayer, Deathblade, and Guardbreaker. All of these work great. At this point, we also want to focus on Katarina items, so you don't worry about picking one over the other. Instead, build a third item that doesn't disrupt Katarina items. After you made Darius items, we want to make items for Katarina. She wants AP and healing items. Her core item is Ionic Spark. This is because she will be attacking the frontline a lot, and they will have a higher magic resistance. Additionally, the damage from Spark will also make enemies lower HP, allowing for Darius to get easier resets. Her second item wants to be a healing item, simply because she will be in the frontline and take a lot of splash damage. The best one is Hodge, as it gives us a lot more damage, but Gunblade and BT can also work. Her third item wants to be a damage item. This can be any AP item like JG, Deathgap, Giant Slayer, or Guardbreaker. Again, make any of these third items you can, as it will be hard to get best in slot items for both Katarina and Darius. And like I said earlier, focus on Darius items first, then Katarina items. If you still have items left over, you will itemize either Swain, Nasus, or Azir, depending a little on your situation. Both Nasus and Swain want standard tank items like Stoneplate, Warmogs, Sunfire, Bramble, Declaw, Protector's Vow, and Redemption, but they can also use healing items like BT and Hodge as well, especially if you have 2 other items equipped on them. You can itemize Swain if you 3-starred him, if not, then you itemize Nasus. If your leftover items are not tank items, throw them on Azir. He wants attack speed or AP items. Usually you're not running Azir until level 8, so the majority of the time, try to make tank items for Swain and Nasus instead of items on Azir. If you get a spatula, you want to make Noxus Spat every time. This allows us to play 6 Noxes with both Azir and Nasus at level 7. The Noxus Spat works on both Azir and Nasus, but Nasus is generally the better holder. This power spike is so great that if you get a spatula dropped, the number 1 priority is to obtain a Noxus emblem by combining the spatula with a belt. I've already mentioned the incredible power spike this comp gets from getting a Noxus emblem, and it's for that reason we want to use Urf as our legend when playing this comp. But you can also run legends like Ornn and Poro if you don't want to always run Urf. Ornn allows us to get a ton of strong items, which will be put to great use on Darius, Katarina, or Swain. And Poro is great, as the best augments for this comp are not given to us by any of the other legends. Therefore, Poro gives us a higher chance to get a lot of the strong augments for this comp, which we'll get into shortly. The best portals for this comp are anything that helps us hit Darius 3 faster, or helps us obtain a +1 Noxus emblem. These are portals like Bandle Cafeteria, Placidium Library, Godwillow's Grove, Nook's Crea, Stillwater Hold, The Summit, Unstable Rift, and Ecliptic Vaults. The best augments for this comp are Army Building, Cybernetic Bulk, Cybernetic Leech, Harm Assist, Juggernaut Harder Crest, Noxus Harder Crest, Red Buff, Risky Moves, Silver Spoon, Unified Resistance, Young, Wild, and Free, A Cut Above, Ancient Archives, Endurance Training, Gifts from the Fallen, Combat Caster, Idealism, Martyr, Know Your Enemy, Tons of Stats, and Total Domination. I mentioned a lot of augments there, and the best ones out of those are Total Domination, Noxus Harder Crest, Gifts from the Fallen, Tons of Stats, Know Your Enemy, and Unified Resistance. And if all that info was a lot to take in, then check out the cheat sheet for this comp. It's available for patrons and YouTube members. Here is the quirky cheat sheet from a previous set, so you know what to expect for the Noxus Reroll cheat sheet that is available right now. To understand our strategy for the early and mid game, we need to take a closer look at how the Noxus trait works. Every time you win against a player in the lobby, as long as you had 3 Noxes active during the fight, the trait becomes 10% stronger. The percentage stacks and caps out at 70%, and that is if you've beaten every player at least once. And if a player dies, the trait counts as you having beaten them. Because of this, we want to win rounds and be able to get as many Noxus stacks as fast as possible to make our trait as powerful as possible. The best case in the early game is to get 3 Noxes early, so we can start stacking the trait immediately. In that case, you will either run Darius carry, Katarina carry, or if you didn't hit the 3 costs, you can run Samira carry. This comp is not impossible to play without a 3 Noxus opener, as there are still other strategies you can use to gain stacks in the mid game. But know that you are playing at a disadvantage if you lack a 3 Noxus opener and you're planning on playing this comp. We also want to pre-level with this comp on stage 1-4, as we get a lot of power in the early game if we are able to hit Darius or Katarina. This will also make it easier to hit 3 Noxes, while also giving us more power, as they are both great early game carries. And once we have found our comp, we need to make items. Once again, focus on Darius items first, but generally speaking, healing items are not great to make in the early game if you don't already have 1 or 2 items on your carry already, so I would avoid slamming BT in the early game. Instead, look to slam Titans, Spark, or a 3rd item for either Darius or Katarina. From here you want to win streak if possible, but going for a loss streak is not the worst idea either in some cases. And if you want to learn more about how to play the early game, then check out my guide, where I go in depth on that subject. After the Krugs round, you should have more direction towards a comp, and the general requirements to play Noxus Reroll is to have 1 component for a healing item for Darius, and made 1 other Darius item. Additionally, we also want to have 3 Noxes active on stage 3-1, so that we can get Noxus specific augments offered to us on stage 3-2. The overall goal in the mid game is to keep winning rounds and gaining Noxus stacks. Once you get to stage 3-2, you will usually want to level up to 6, and then roll down to hit 6 Noxus. This is to ensure that we will keep winning rounds, and that we're able to max out our Noxus stacks, because if we don't have all our Noxus stacks once we get to stage 4, there are a lot of other people will be rolling for their 4-cost carries, and it will be significantly harder to beat them there until we have our 3 stars. If you have been loss streaking in the early game, the same strategy applies. On stage 3-2, you want to all in at level 6 and roll until you hit 6 Noxes, with 2-star Darius, Katarina, and Swain. We really need a strong board to ensure we win the rest of the rounds on stage 3, so that we have at least 40% extra power in our Noxus trait. And once you're done rolling, econ back up to 50 gold and push towards level 7. Once you are on stage 4-1, the goal is to have 50 gold or more while being level 7. Here we will start slow rolling by rolling down to 50 gold every single turn. Our 3-star priority is Darius, Katarina, and Swain. With this comp, only hitting 3-star Darius or Katarina will sometimes be enough to top 4, but you will need both 3-star Darius and Katarina to win games. We will be slow rolling with this board at level 7, and if we have +1 Noxes, then we are in a much better spot as we can add in Azir over Samira. If you manage to get another Noxus spat from Urf or something else, then you can even drop Kled for Jarvan. You will slow roll until you get to around 30 HP, where you will need to all in for your 3 stars. The reason for the 30 HP mark is so we can have 2 to 3 lives left, and we avoid getting knocked out if we run into one bad matchup. Once you hit your 3 stars, level up to 8 and add in Azir. If you get +1 Noxus, add in Jarvan, and make sure to replace Kled with Sion whenever you hit him. And if you make it to level 9, which is rare but can happen, then you want to add in Ryze or a second Jarvan onto your team. General positioning with this comp looks like this. We have Sion closer to the outskirts so that he will be in range to ult the enemy backlines. Darius is closer to the middle. This is to keep him safe from initial aggro from the enemy carries, as they will be attacking Nasus and Sion instead. Katarina is in the back 2 rows to gain AP from Strategist instead of a shield. Now moving on to some in-depth examples. Against the first guy, the big threat is Zeri. We have Sion line up to ult towards Zeri. Darius is on the opposite side of the Zeri so that he doesn't get targeted by her for a while. Katarina is being funneled around the front line and will hopefully reach the backline with her ultimate. Against the second guy, the big threat is Tristana. Sion is once again charging to the backline to CC the Tristana. Katarina is on the same side as Tristana to hopefully jump on her. Darius is opposite side of Tristana to once again not get targeted by the main carry right away. Against the third guy, the big threat is Yasuo. Since Yasuo will ult 3 hexes away, we can't have Darius closer to him. We also want Katarina on the same side as the Yasuo to help take him down. Sion will ult down to the Kai'Sa and Ahri to CC them. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want cheat sheets for any of my comp guides, they're available for you to members and patrons, and the links to join those are down in the description. And if you want to get better at TFT, join the Discord. We got over 9,000 other players there who are hungry to climb. And if you want to get coached by me, the information is over on the Discord server as well. So take care and see you in the next video.